Yeah, so okay, we wandered way off, but yeah, basically it's all here. You know, what we just said. The info from the source via the link provided is erroneous, because if they did, they would know. Because here it says official website of United Church of God New Zealand, a Sabbath-keeping Christian church that aims to follow the original teachings of Jesus Christ, or Yeshua Mashiach, Jesus the Messiah, and the first century apostles. That would be the first century disciples as well, probably, because Peter, Bartholomew, all that knew Paul, the apostle, right? They came across that guy, right? They were the same faith, and they were Mashiachai. These disciples were called Mashiachai, not Christians. The info, but these later followers took on that name that was given to them. It's like the Nestorians, right? This Assyrian church. They don't like to be called Nestorians. There's one comment in one of the patriarchs' interviews or books or something, and this guy says, "Oh, you're Nestorians, whatever." He says, "If you keep calling us Nestorians, we're going to go to war." But they accept that title because it's been labelled. They've been labelled that. It's been heaped on them for centuries. So yeah, they go with it. They're not too fazed by it. Okay. But they'll tell you, we aren't Nestorians. We're erroneously being called Nestorians. We are Assyrians, etc. Right? Okay. So the info from the sources, the source via the link provided, is erroneous. In other words, incorrect. If they did, they would know of the original scriptures, of the original ancient or very old manuscripts, the Lishana Artika, Lishana Sapreya, of the ancient, very old sacred scribe or old tongue prophets of the old, spoken by the prophets of the Old Testament, Moses, etc., etc. He may have spoken Ktav Avri, Ktav Avri, right? That's the Aramaic and the Hebrew, the original, right? The very ancient, and maybe Ktav Hotep, yeah, from his grandfather while he was in Egypt. But we're still trying to find that one. There's no information that we found on it, right? And you've got some rabbis online that say, "Oh yeah, the modern Hebrew is Ktav Avri." It's not. Okay, it's not even Ktav Avri, because they're dead languages. What they've got is a modern Israeli Hebrew, right? You've got a modern Greek, or possibly a Latinized form of Greek, right? And this Aramaic is this derivative Syriac. Okay? And your Greek could also be modern Greek, Latinized form of Greek. It's not the Koine Greek, or the classical, or the Attica, or the Attic Greek. See, we've done our research. Okay, so these scribes and monks compiled the Old Testament into one book around 800 BCE in Ur Edessa, Assyrian Aramaic or Aramaic, Ktav Avri, and that's in that language, long dead language, and of the Galilean Aramaic spoken by Jesus and spoken and written by his disciples and apostles. Okay, so this guy Victor Alexander's found a way through the root words to revive it. Here we go. Translated by a native-born Aramaic, so translated by a native-born Aramaic speaker, translator, filmmaker from Bet Naharain or Mesopotamia, Syria, right? Yeah, today it's called Syria. Who found a way to revive a long dead language and translated the original manuscripts in the original sacred scribe or old tongue into the closest English equivalent, keeping as close to what the original manuscript was saying, without the usual translator's bias, need for bias, prejudice, twisting, or adding their own flavour to them, or his own flavour to them, as most translators do. As he also found when translating, that, like he says, the missionaries in the 1900s went to Urmia, North Iran, with their King James Version Bible, right? And they're preaching, they're proselyting, whatever, and they tried to translate that King James into Syriac, but botched it, so forth and so forth. Okay, we're going to read from the translator's notes, right, to verify this is his statements, and that we're not trying to pull the wool over your eyes, right? Okay, so we're going to try and find some glasses around here or something. Okay, we don't know where they are. We've lost them again. Anyway, okay, it should be on page 4 of the Aramaic. New Testament. The American missionaries of the 19th century attempted to translate these scriptures, these Galilean Aramaic scriptures, into modern Aramaic, Syriac, right? The American missionaries of the 19th century attempted to translate the scriptures into modern Aramaic, Syriac, but botched it as they adapted it to the King James Version in use by them at the time. The Urmia, or North Iran, version of the Bible is essentially the American Bible translated into modern Aramaic or Syriac. By the way, the American missionaries have translated all the Bibles of all the countries of the world from the American Bible. That is why all the Bibles thus translated contain the same errors and translations and pseudo-Christian, that's half-truth, right? False, often false, erroneous, bad translations, etc. Doctrines that have caused so much misery in the world for 200 years. So that's where your problems lie, right? That's why you're fighting with each other. Oh, we've got the true scriptures preserved by God. We are the chosen. We are the elect. God spoke to us in a dream and said, we are the one. You know, all the rest are devils, and they point the finger at them. You know, it's all propagandic. It's all because they've got a motive, a hidden agenda, etc., etc., right? To be the number one on top of the ladder, right? Kick everybody else by defaming them. Kick everybody else off by poo-pooing on them. The earlier plagiarized versions of the Bible were the Greek original and the Latin Vulgate. These versions were translated by Martin Luther, William Tyndale, and other Protestant translators over the last 5 centuries from the Greek Septuagint and the Greek original, the Greek New Testament, translation from the Aramaic. These were then further translated by the American translators until we have the situation today with all these versions of the Bible and thousands of denominations, each with their own individual interpretation. So the Disciples' New Testament, or the Aramaic New Testament, is then the only accurate and non-prejudicial translation of the original New Testament scriptures, okay, the ancient, the very old, the original, right? Scriptures by a native Aramaic speaking translator. He's from Bet Naharain, Mesopotamia, Syria, and that's what he's talking about, right? Okay, so these are your problems. This where your problems lie with your American Bibles or your Americanized modern Bible versions, right? Go have a look at the Brian video, as we always stress. We'll probably put a link underneath so they can look at it, and he shows you a chart of where it all originated from. The original supposedly the original Hebrew text translated into Greek and then translated into Old Germanic, because he was a German, right? He spoke the German language, right? So he's a scribe and a monk of the Catholic Church. He translates it into Old Latin, and then it's translated into English, for the people, because that was part of the Reformation, right? So Tyndale, who was a Protestant, that's what people don't get, right? They don't look at the word, they don't define the word. What is Protestant, right? Someone said to us in a comment, oh, do you know the difference between Protestant and Catholics? We said, yeah, because we come to realise they were reformists, right? They were crying out for change from that mother church, right? We want... Somebody's calling us, they can call back. Yeah, they want to reform, they want to change, because the people weren't allowed to learn the Latin, read it for themselves, etc., so they didn't know what was in the scriptures. Okay, so Martin Luther went away. He translated into English, from Latin into the English. Tyndale went to London, apparently, or England, and he did the same. Then they came back, and then Martin Luther, in being a reformist and a protester, right, puts it up on the church door so all the people can read it. He doesn't get excommunicated. He's still a good boy, good Roman Catholic, right? Where his friends did that sort of thing, they got burned at the stake or something like that, right? Okay, so he was never excommunicated. He was still a Roman Catholic till his dying day. Okay, Tyndale, Wycliffe, etc., were Protestants. They were under the Roman Catholic Mother Church, right? They were affiliated with it, etc., etc. So they were protesters or Protestants, right? Wanting that reform, wanting that change. Okay, so they were acknowledged for being reformists, you know, trying to make that change, right? But they were still Roman. Martin Luther was still a Roman Catholic, and Tyndale, etc., Wycliffe, they were Protestants under that Roman Catholic Church, right, under its boot heel. Okay, so this Brian guy, he shows you in that video, there's two columns, the left and the right, and he tells you in the beginning where does it come from. And someone had said a comment that where did the Bible come from? Did it fall out of the sky? It came from the Roman Catholic Church, right? The Protestants. It came from the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church gave you all the Bible, right? So we looked at that, and we looked online, and we found that these Protestants were of that Roman Catholic Church, because this person said that the American Bible Society were originally Protestants. That was it, right? So we looked it up, and it says in an 1840 report, right, about the American Bible Society. We've done a video on it. It says that they said they were Protestants, but they weren't. They were Roman Catholics. As we stated, they were protesters against they want to reform, you know, the Mother Church, right? So they were still under the Mother Church, but protesters. Do you get it now? Right? Do you get it now, kids? See, this is what you got to do, your research. Okay? People don't do their research. They go, oh, I know this, I know that. And they've never done any research. Okay? They've just heard it, read it, so they believe it, right? They've never made the effort to totally check it out, go real deep, you know, to the point of fanaticism. That's what old Bruce Lee over here saying in his Jeet Kune Do, right? He had to become fanatical, near fanatical, right? He had to know it better than everybody else. So he did all the studies, all that sort of stuff, right? They say, oh, he's an atheist and all that sort of stuff, according to his, you know, JKD and all that sort of stuff. But if you have a look at one of his videos, a picture of him, right? That Shannon Lee shows a picture of him, and he's sitting there reading the book, right? Whatever book he's reading, the Chinese way of Kung Fu or something, or principles or whatever, right? Taoism, whatever, right? But if you have a look at a picture of the library, of his library collection, right next to him, there's a book of Islam. So he was looking at Islam. Why else would you have a book on Islam? Is it just here to make the shelf look pretty? No, he probably studied it. But he said, you know, I don't believe in a God, I don't believe in a deity, I believe in the void. It's emptiness, you know, etc., etc. And he was into Taoism, okay, old ancient Chinese philosophy, religion, whatever it's termed as, right? Okay, so yeah, we'll go back to this comic because we've gone off it again. Okay, so it's translated by a native-born Aramaic speaker, etc., etc. We at the Ministry of the Real Truth found a way to resurrect this downed website, hba.com, so we can bring those translations to anyone truly seeking the real truth about the scriptures and what they really say and mean. There are many so-called claims or claimants claiming that their church duplicates the teachings of the original disciples and apostles, and that they are the original apostolic church. But they, in reality, are not. They're not following the traditions, customs, and liturgy of those original disciples who gave to the original church of Allah or God those original manuscripts, what they had seen and heard in the miracles that Christ did while they were among him, while they were around him, right, as followers or disciples and followers, right? Okay, so they're false, they're telling lies, right? Okay, they in reality are not following the traditions, customs, and liturgy of those original disciples given to the original church of Allah or God, the Apostolic Orthodox Catholic Church of the East. And they are, okay, they're following it to the T. They've always been like that. Okay, they've never wavered from it, never had to translate it into any other language, unless they got converts, I suppose, in different countries. But they basically, it was intact. It was never messed with, never translated into other languages. Okay, the Apostolic Orthodox Catholic Church of the East, erroneously named Nestorian, who have never deviated from what they were taught by these disciples, nor even had to translate or rewrite their text over and over again. Many make this claim, but are nowhere near it, as the histories themselves prove that the Roman Catholic and Western churches over the many centuries suppressed the original source peoples in their history. They went through a lot of crap, persecutions for 18 centuries, right? Different peoples. Yeah, in favour of their own doctrines and dogmas. They're pushing that. Yeah. It's a means of control, right? If they lose that, like they were scared about the Dead Sea Scrolls when they were first translated. So what did they do? They thought, well, it's going to probably tell a different story and ruin us. So they sent along a Roman Catholic translator, whatever, yeah, to check it out. They didn't want it released to the public, again, because they thought it might tell a completely different story, show them up as liars, and they lose all their people, right? Okay. Yeah, so they're all about their own doctrines and dogmas, right? And today want to keep the real truths under the rug. The Assyrian Aramaic, original manuscripts, translated in English, etc., their history, and so forth, right? So we at the Ministry of the Real Truth are continuing the work of the translator, Victor Alexander, and trying to restore, as he has made it his mission, the true apostolic faith through his website and his translations of those original Old Testament manuscript scriptures, and also the New Testament Galilean Aramaic manuscripts, scriptures, etc. Right? Okay? And simply re-educating. Yeah, that's all we're doing, is re-educating. Okay, we're looking at them, their claims, their supposed evidence, all this sort of stuff, listening to their imams, their evangelists, theologians, to see what they're all about, and then going and doing the hard work, the personal research, to finding out, you know, is it the truth or is it a load of phooey? Okay? So we're simply re-educating people to the real truth. We're trying to wake them up to it, that you're being duped, you're being suckered, right? As this Brian with the glasses, the beard video, the American Bible Society and their lies, tells you, right? And in the 1840 report that we've done a video around, that also verifies in the 1840s that at this meeting they admitted that the Roman Catholics had been putting out these bogus versions for centuries, okay? Obviously through these American Bible Societies. So we go and we find the facts. We bring you the facts. We don't bring you, we think, we got this funny feeling. We go and look for the evidence and bring you the established facts, the proof, the evidence, right? The sources, the links to these experts, people who've done the research. Okay? Yeah. So we're simply re-educating people to the real truth. Those who want to have the real truth, but truth seekers, want to be true Christians, truly with God, know the real scriptures, what does it really say, etc., etc. Okay, without the huff, the fluff, or the hype, complete nonsense and deceit, trickery, force by any means imaginable, because we personally experience with many of the adherents of the denominations, especially the Christians, they try to pull these tricks. Okay, for example, I got a friend from Israel, he knows all that, he just came back, he's a Jew, whatever, let's go visit him, hop in a car, end up in the church. Or another time, I'll shut you a big feed, at the hamburger place or whatever, hop in the car. So hop in the car, end up at the church. Yeah, trickery like that. You should come and watch this movie, you really like it. He's trying to push me to go back to that church that I was in, but I didn't like it because, there's some questions I wanted answered, and they said, you're going in too deep, or you're saying infallible word of God, etc., says this, that, right? And then celebrating Christmas, the 25th, saying that's Jesus' date of birth, right? Or the date he was born, right? When it doesn't clearly say that, in the scriptures, in your Americanized Bible version. Don't worry about it, just go with the flow, and that sort of crap, right? So it's like, out of there, right? And then I came across this over time, you pray, okay, God, open my eyes, take the scales away through the power of the Holy Spirit to reveal me the real truth. Because a Seventh-day Adventist lecturer, class, teacher, whatever, went to us invited by a girl that I liked at the time, right? She was really beautiful, whatever. But it never happened, right? Cultural differences, whatever. Okay, so we're just good friends now, right? She probably, hopefully she doesn't see this video. She's married and got 3 kids anyway, so leave it alone. He says, well, if it's not in the Bible, someone tells you it's in the Bible, you look at the Bible and you find out it's not in the Bible, well then obviously false, aren't they? They're liars, right? You've got to do that research. Yeah? Don't just take it because someone said, this is the truth. You take it at face value that it is. because maybe you're associated, you like that person, or you like that girl or whatever, right? Yeah, go check it out for yourself. Okay, and then you find, hey man, they told us a load of rubbish. Trying to pull a fast one. Okay. So so we're simply re-educating people to the real truth. The real truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Without the hype, fluff, complete nonsense and deceit, trickery, forced by any means imaginable, we have personally experienced with many of the adherents, Christians, the denominations that we've come across. Christian denominations, right? Not so much problem with Islam yet. No, not much problem with Jewish people, or Jewish Christians, whatever, etc. No problem there. Get the odd one, he thinks he knows what the Bible says because he's going from the King James Shakespeare speak version, right? 1611. He gets all shouty, gets all uppity, says with the devil should throw that original manuscripts in the rubbish bin, all this sort of crap, because it's got like what it originally says compared to their King James version, which obviously you can see like Matthew 27:45, when they've translated what Christ said on the cross, Il lama sabachthani, or shrikhthani, whatever, from the Aramaic, Galilean Aramaic. They say, he said, that means he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? But we've done a video, provided the evidence that that's not what he actually said in that language, his language. He said, wherefore have you destined me? My God is correct. Il, or Eloi, or whatever, right? In the Hebrew, that's correct. But this, my God, why have you forsaken me, is incorrect. We have evidence for that. The translators' footnotes state Matthew 27:45 that's a bad transliteration, because the word wherefore doesn't imply forsaken. It implies like why did God abandon him? But he understands it's because why did he abandon him in what he was destined to do, right? What he was sent to earth to do, to be that ultimate sacrifice for the sins of man, right? The remission of sins, cleansing by the blood, all that scriptural stuff, right? So he can bring sinful man back to God through him. That's why he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man can get to the Father, or go to the Father, or come to the Father, but through him. That's what he's talking about, right? Okay, so he was that. Here's a cross, right? Here's a cross, right? There's nothing. There's a gap between God and man, right? Because sin separated them. Sin can't dwell in the presence of God, right? He has no part in sin. So what happens is Christ becomes this bridge that all can go back across through, right? And what is that bridge? That cross that he was crucified on, right? It's all scriptural, isn't it? Okay. So so we say here, know the real truth, and that real truth will set you free, liberate you. That's our editing, to so you understand that verse, okay, which is basically know the truth, and that truth will set you free. It's talking about Christ, right? And his ministry and what he said, etc. Okay? So for emphasis, we've edited it. We say know the real truth, and that real truth will set you free, will liberate you. Okay? Because you're being deceived. The whole world is being deceived from all the told you, sold you, that isn't the real truth. Hype, hocus pocus, mistranslations, bad translations, transliterations, or interpolations, and outright lies. So that one about Jesus dying on a cross, with Christ dying on a cross and saying Il lama sabachthani, being my God, why for you have forsaken me, is incorrect. It's a second or third generation Arabic Greek transliteration, and it's incorrect. It doesn't mean my God, doesn't translate as my God, why have you forsaken me? Because if you look in the Old Testament, it says, I will never leave you nor forsake you, right? So God doesn't forsake people. He might separate himself from you, or separate you from him because of sin, but he's always there for you, right? Okay? For you to come back, repent, confess, whatever, right? Come back to him. Okay, so this person, okay, again, we're not angry or resentful or sending out the boys to lop off your knees. We don't have that sort of attitude, right? We appreciate it, this comment. And they said, the ministry of real truth, as you call yourself, is just another of the thousands of examples of how man thinks his way is the right way. fair enough. Within Christianity, we also see this phenomenon where every one of the thousands of denominations think their way is the right way. Even non-denominational churches believe, or maybe pagan, whatever, the other religions believe this, although it may not be listed on their website under beliefs or creeds, etc. We all think our perception or interpretation is correct, and that is simply human nature. Yeah, it could be true, could be false. Okay, depends on, that's your perspective, isn't it? Okay, so we put a rather long answer to your comment there. We appreciate it. Here again is the thumbs up. Notice we didn't give you a thumbs down, because in Rome you'd be beheaded or thrown to the lions or whatever. Anyway, you're probably not a believer, but hey, we're not going to hold that against you. Yeah, perhaps you're an atheist. Well, that's your choice, isn't it? The minister, okay, so we replied, well, I beg to differ. There are thousands of examples of how a man thinks his way is the right way. Okay, we're adding that comment, but I assure you we are the right way. Why? Okay, be prepared for our answer. Blow you out of your socks. Because we have access to the correct original ancient very old manuscripts in the website that we revived, in the original ancient very old sacred scribal old tongue or language. It's a long dead one, the shorturl.at, which most people have never heard of the original ancient very old Syrian Aramaic, from a native born Aramaic speaking translator from Bethnarain, Mesopotamia, Syria, who found a way to revive a long dead language, and he translated from those original manuscripts that he bought from the high priest in Bible format on that video. If you put in the Aramaic scriptures in YouTube search, right, it'll come up Adam and Eva, and that's the older man there, the translator, Victor Ian Alexander, reading from this book. Okay, he's actually reading from this manuscript, these ancient manuscripts, right, because he speaks the language, he's found a way to revive it, etc., etc., right, and he's speaking a funny language, so that's what he's doing, bringing it to you in English, an explanation of Brita in the Aramaic, or the Genesis, right, the origins of creation, the creation account, etc., right, from that ancient Galilean Aramaic. But he does, actually that's correction there. See, when we make a mistake, we admit to it, and we go try to correct it. Even if we make a mistake, we didn't define the word, we put it underneath the video, right? It'll have NB and then whatever, right? Okay, so he's translated that original ancient Brita of the Lishana Artica Cyprea, or what do you say, something like Cyprea Brita Lishana or something like that, whatever he says. But yeah, Lishana Cyprea, right, into English, the old Ktav Avri. Okay, so that's what he's doing on that video. And he's explaining it to you, right? Okay. Yeah, he's got 15 years experience in translating those manuscripts, original manuscripts, scriptures into the nearest English equivalent and the closest to what they actually say, without a translator's bias, prejudice, twist, or adding his own flavour to it. Okay? Because he saw everyone else did that and botched it. We have put in place a policy. Okay? We knew all about this, we realised this, and that's why we put these things into place, because we knew the other denominations, Christians, whatever, would come at us and try to attack us and stomp us into the ground, right, with all these claims. Okay? So we have put in place a policy, because we are a business. There's a difference here. We're not an incorporation or an Inc. like the JWs used to be org.org, JW.org. Maybe they got now JW Inc., which means incorporation. That they're a business and they're making money, right? Okay, so we are, our YouTube account is a brand account, right? But we still got to work out that brand, maybe do some merchandise, all that sort of stuff, right? To help fund us so we can grow, right? All legitimate reasons, etc., etc. Okay, but nobody's donating so far. So, yeah. Do we really need it? It would help to help us grow, to get new residents, etc., etc. All that legal stuff, right? Legit stuff. Okay, so we have put in place a policy. Honesty is our best policy, where we strive to bring all the real truth, it's everyone, the real truth, the whole truth, and nothing but that truth. Unlike all the others who add hype, fluff, and baloney to their translations, etc., right? Who creates a policy on their YouTube channel, right? Or their registered congregation? Is there anyone out there that said those exact words? Or we've got a policy? And our policy is honesty is our best policy. Okay? No one. And we also believe in chivalry. Do you remember that old age premise, that tradition that the old Victorians age, those pompous rich gits, they said we believe in chivalry, that a man's word is his word and he should honour it and be honourable in keeping it, right? Who puts that on their YouTube channel? Okay? None can today, as they make a promise and break it sometime later. They can't stand by these, right? It's a natural human thing to make a promise and then break it, We are not perfect, nor boasting we are. Yeah? So please don't come at us with saying, oh, you got a big egg and you're boasting, you're bragging. We're not. Okay? Because we are prone to making mistakes from time to time. But rest assured, if we do, and someone brings it to us, to our attention nicely, not coming out and you're the devil, you speak devil and all that kind of crap, right? Yeah. If they bring it nicely to our attention, we will examine it to see the person or party are in fact correct. Then rectify it, or correct it, okay, and acknowledge them for bringing it to our attention. Who does that? Very rarely. You just use the thumb up option you got there in the heart. Okay, we go a bit further than that. We do both, right? Okay. Yeah, we acknowledge them, say thank you very much for that, for bringing it to our attention, and nicely, whatever. Right? Okay. Or if we make a video and there's a mistake in it, we didn't define a word or gave the wrong meaning, as we did just a moment ago, we will seek to correct that mistake or rectify it, correct it, right? Who does that? Who is humble enough to admit, oh mate, I told a load of rubbish, I got it all wrong, sorry about that, bro, here's what I was really meant to say, right? And complete honesty, humbled themselves to say, oh yeah, I messed it up, I totally told a lie, yeah, you're right, great, etc. Right? Who does that today? Hardly anyone, right? Within Christianity, we also see this phenomenon where every one of the thousands of denominations think their way is the right way. This is what this person's comment says. We've stretched it out, right? Their way is the right way. Even non-denominational churches believe this, although it may not be listed on their websites. Under beliefs or creeds, etc., we all think our perception or interpretation is correct, and that is simply human nature. Yeah, okay, we can live with that. Okay, so atheists come at us and say, oh, it's your Christianity, your religion, Jesus never existed, it's all rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And you say, well, here's the evidence. They go, oh, no, blah, blah, blah. Our way's the truth. Yours is rubbish. We've got the facts. Science says this, science says that, They don't want you to, they try to suppress you, try to stamp you under, right? They're not giving you that same respect, right? Okay? So they're thinking their perception or interpretation of things is correct, right? Their way or the highway. There is no other way. No matter what you say, okay, ours is the truth, even though it proves false, right? Total rubbish. It's the truth. It's like years ago we read something about a pastor of a church saying to his members, because they're like confused and etc., whatever. He says, well, at the end of the day, even if it proves to be a lie, scriptures wise, etc., the Bible, etc., if it ends up proving to be a lie, believe it anyway. What kind of insanity is that? But that's the kind of thing that they put across to their church members, right? That's kind of rubbish. So that's what we're looking at as well. And what the hell is that insanity, right? We expose them on it and say, people, that's a load of rubbish. If I believe that it's all good to murder, just because someone looks at it the wrong way and all that sort of stuff, because somebody, like the guy that did that certain book that people read and they go and kill everyone in the area, if I believe that was all true when it wasn't, and I'm pushing it to people that's all true, you're allowed to do that, or etc., whatever excuse you come up with, then I'm lying, aren't I? I'm pushing something false. Hopefully that was a decent example. Didn't get confused. Okay, so if I say Harry Potter is true, or that witchcraft and all that sort of stuff, the spells that he does, and you know that it's not, but I keep pushing that it is true because I can do it, right? And I can't. I really can't. I'm a big fat liar, right? But I keep pushing that it's true and saying to you believe it. It's true. Even if it proves to be a lie, believe it. But I know I'm a liar. I know I'm insane and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, get back to us. Okay. We, in a sense, are a business. Okay, we are a business. Right. This is our business. Okay. Seeking to become a brand, as our channel is a brand account, yet not an incorporation, making boatloads of money. See, that's the difference. If you put incorporation, you're registered as a business because you are making money. Okay, we're not an incorporation because we're not making any money. Okay, so we're just a business in that sense, right? In that sense. Okay. We have done our homework to quell any claims against us from the very day we created our YouTube channel. We just didn't realise it, right? Oh no, that's just like saying if it proves to be a lie, believe it anyway. No, just a joke there. Bit of humour. Okay. We, in a sense, are a business seeking to become a brand, as our channel is a brand account, our YouTube channel, yet not an incorporation, a huge company like Fortune 500 that makes boatloads of money. We have a registered ×2, maybe 3 minister. Handsome guy over here. So I'm registered online in a sound database, right, with a congregation or church or ministry registering website. Okay. Well, we did this other one. It was like turned out to be silly. They give you a certificate for $6 that you can put on your wall to verify that you're a registered ministry. I thought, well, that was just a $6 money making load of rubbish, right? But this one was more expensive. They teach you, how you should preach, how your ministry should be structured like this and all that sort of stuff. Right? Yeah, really, really good. So we are registered ×2. Okay, I am registered ×2 as a minister. I didn't like the idea of pastor, reverend, and all that sort of stuff. So I chose to be called the re-educator. The educator, right? Because it's in the Aramaic. It's talking about a rabbi, the educator, right? Not too sure on that, right? But you might use that if you have a big time congregation, right? Yeah. So a registered congregation ×2. We had this name, Real Truth Ministries, Real Truth Congregation, the True Church of Maya, Ishor, Mashika, or Jesus the Messiah. That's too damn long. Like, you can't go, I'm from this church, la 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 la. People go, what the hell? That's too damn long, right? So we shortened it, and then we shortened it to the Real Truth Ministries, right? And we found on YouTube there's the Real Truth Church of God, the Real Truth Ministries, the Real Truth Congregation, the Real Truth this, the Real Truth that, and even the Real Truth about your relationships, church or something. Was it the Real Truth not ministry? The Real Truth Relationship Advice and Help, right? All this sort of stuff. So I thought, well, there's too many of them. So if you put it on YouTube, it's going to end up going to the Real Truth Romance Help thing, right? So we changed it to the Ministry of the Real Truth. Okay, and we always say, or we usually say in our intro of our videos, we are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and we bring all of you, or you all, the real truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right? Okay, so like you got that, and you go to the court, right, and they say, swear on the Holy Bible. Okay, put your hand on there, and you go, put your other hand up, right hand, whatever. I do solemnly swear, all that sort of stuff, that I will tell the real truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Then help me, so help me God. But we left out that end part, right? Okay, see how it all fits? Okay. So we've done our homework to quell any claims against us from the very day we created our YouTube channel. We didn't realise it till later on, right? So, hey, yeah, that, oh, yeah, wow, Okay.